Shalom Akim wa Akwathiam. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Kakudash. I'd like to proceed this lesson with giving double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Without further ado, regarding to this truth, man, the Bible, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Hispanics, and Native Americans are the true children of Israel, man. I just wanted to get into this through the spirit, man. I was watching a brother's lesson earlier, man, and the title of it was, you're only a bitch if you quit, man, I just wanted to, put my own points and things, just through the spirit, just gonna hit this real quick, man, because we're in a time right now where, during the Passover, man, a lot of men in the truth, get sifted away, man. They fall out the truth, man. During the Feast of Unleavened Bread, the unleavened bread, a little leaven leaveneth the whole lump, man. Let me just get that real quick. Let's see. This is the book of Galatians, chapter 5, verse 9. A little leaven leaveneth the whole lump, man. And this is all, things that may hinder us, man. A different leavening, it's through the spirit, man. Different things that leaven, each own, man. As well as, it going into the body, man. Hey, the Lord's purging out, the leaven, man. All the undesirables, man. It's the book of Luke, chapter 22, verse 31 through 34. Or I would just go to verse 31. And the Lord Yahweh said, Simon, Simon, behold, Satan hath desired to have you, that he may sift you as wheat. And that's, the members, of GMS, following the doctrine, I'm not a member of GMS, but I follow the doctrine, But we believe, when we know that Shaitan, was trying to get us off our pivot, man. He's sent to try to throw us off our path, man, as well, man. Let me get this preset before I begin. This is the book of Ecclesiasticus, also known as the book of Sirach, chapter 2, verse 1. It reads, My son, if thou come to serve the Lord, prepare thy soul for temptation. And these are things that we have to endure, man. Different things that we may, battle against in this flesh, man. Certain things, that may, hinder you, man. Certain, like the brother was going into, man, spending money on certain things, having sex with these different women, things of that, man. What did King Solomon say? Let's see. Let me get it up real quick. It's the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 1, verse 14. I have seen all the works that are done under the sun. All these things, all these parties that these people have, different gatherings, different social gatherings, they got these raves, things of that nature, all these things where, people just go there, are in the spirit of mirth, man. Ecclesiastes chapter 1, verse 14. I have seen all the works that are done under the sun, and behold, all is vanity and vexation of spirit, man. All these things are the same, man. You go out for a drink to the bar, man, you'll see that, things, these things, really is just pointless, man. It's meaningless, man. Call Yahweh Shai that, he allowed me to see these things, man. Speaking of my testimony, man. Sometimes Jake wants to go out there, have a little drink or whatever, but ain't stuff out there for us, man. I'm sure the brothers feel like that too, man. Everything is all vanity, vexation of spirit, man. I'm gonna go back to Luke chapter 22, verse 31, and it reads, And the Lord Yahweh said, Simon, Simon, behold, Shaitan hath desired to have you, that he may sift you as wheat. But I have prayed for thee, that thy faith fail not, and when thou art converted, strengthen thy brethren. You know, hey, the Lord has prayed for thee, man, for the elect, man, pushing this truth, man, keeping their hand on the plow, man. You know, because let me get this one right here. Let's see. The book of Luke, chapter 9, verse 62. And Yahweh said unto him, no man, having put his hand to the plow and looking back, is fit for the kingdom of Yahweh, man, for the kingdom of the Most High, man. You know, that, you know, if you were doing this truth, man, and you stop for whatever reason, man, the Lord's not dealing with you, man. You know, you're not going to be fit as a king to rule when heaven gets established on earth, man. Hey, 2 Ezra chapter 6, verse 9. Esau is the end of this world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth, man. This is what's coming, man. Hey, but we know we have to put on the whole breastplate of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, man. Let's see. It's the book of Ephesians chapter 6, verse 11, and it reads, put on the whole armor of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places, man. Wherefore take unto you the whole armor of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, that ye may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all to stand. You know, hey, you got to take on this full armor until the end, man. He that endured to the end, you know. Let me just get that real quick, man. Hey, call Bashem Yahushua, man. Book of Matthew, chapter 24, verse 13. But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved, man. It's talking about the elect. You know, we see, you know, what times we're coming into, man. What destruction is waiting for Babylon the Great, man. You know, America, which is Babylon the Great, man. Spiritually Egypt, you know, spiritually Sodom and Gomorrah, man. Based on this confused way of living. It's the book of Matthew, chapter 7, verse 13 through 14. And it reads, enter ye in at the straight gate, for wide is the gate and broad is the way that leadeth to destruction, man. You know, wide is the gate and broad is the way, you know, that this life shows, man. It's easy to pursue, you know, Babylon if you just follow the flesh, man. It's easy to, you know, elevate in Babylon if you just pursue the flesh, man. Just give into the flesh, man. But you got to be able to deny your flesh, man, and serve the Lord, Yahweh Shem Yahushua. And it reads from the top, Matthew 7 and 13, enter ye in at the straight gate, for wide is the gate and broad is the way that leadeth to destruction, and many there be which go in thereat. Verse 14, because straight is the gate and narrow is the way which leadeth unto life, and few there be that find it, man. You know, narrow is the way, man. Narrow is the way which leadeth unto life. You know, it's gonna be a tight, you know, uncomfortable walk, man. But Yahweh Shem Yahushua is gonna, you know, look out for his elect, man. You know, a man that doesn't go through anything, you know, he's not, you know, where's his glory at, man? If you're not tested to go through certain things, you know, what that was that scripture, man, acceptable man. Let me get that real quick, man. That's a good one. Acceptable man in the furnace, the book of Ecclesiasticus, also known as the book of Sirach, chapter 2, verse 5. For gold is tried in the fire, and acceptable men in the furnace of adversity. You know, and this adversity is by ways of, you know, certain things that we go through in the flesh, man. Might be family issues, money issues, financial issues, you know, living situations, you know, Esau, you know, messing with a brother, things of that nature, man. You know, little things like that, man. You know, hey, they're little right now because, hey, you know, I'll go to that one right now, man. But hey, I'm gonna bring out this precept. Hey, we gotta go through this for just a little while, man. You know, there's a book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 2, verse 4. Whatsoever is brought upon thee, take cheerfully and be patient when thou art changed to a low state, man. You know, hey, be patient when thou art changed to a low state and take it with cheer, man. You know, because this is what's coming, man. The book of Romans, chapter 8, verse 18, and it reads, For I reckon that the sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared with the glory which shall be revealed in us, man. You know, and that's coming to the elect, man. You know, take all this, you know, all these afflictions, hey, to the chin, man, and keep walking and hey, call on Yahweh Shem Shai, man. It's the book of Proverbs, chapter 18, verse 10, and it reads, The name of the Lord Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, is a strong tower. The righteous runneth into it and is safe, man. You know, hey, we got to keep it pushing, man. You know, examine thyself daily, man. Let me get that real quick. The book of 2 Corinthians, chapter 13, verse 5, it reads, Examine yourselves, whether ye be in the faith, prove your own selves. Know ye not your own selves, how that Yahushua Mashiach is in you, except ye be reprobates, man. You know, walk circumspectly. This is a good one too. Ephesians chapter 5, verse 15 through 16. And it reads, See then that ye walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time, because the days are evil, man. You know, when the days are just going to get evil, are going to get more evil and eviler, man. You know, the day of doom and gloom, man. You know, we are the prophets of doom, you know, prophesying against Mount Seir, man. You know, against this wicked kingdom, man. You know, but with that, hope this lesson was edifying to the elect. I'd like to give our praise to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Kakwadash, Shalom.